not going to ask you to do 2 million burpees in a class and go, come on, everybody, we can do this. I'm going to set this up as a really smart workout. It's a circuit class. It's researched. There'll be a coach on hand to help you move. Ensure a workout output. They have their own music studio. We map the music.
When you need it most.
When you need it most, you're like, oh no, I don't think I can do this anymore.
For someone just starting their fitness journey in one sentence.
It's not as scary as you think. Westwood is always striving because we're always striving to do something newer, bigger, bolder, better, and I love it.
What's your personal fitness goal for next year?
I'm going to put it out there now. And if I fail, I fail. And humans, we are pack animals. We like to be together. When you feel included, there's all these warm, fuzzy feelings.
Groupness, as we like to call it, the groupness.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love to welcome Tine to Westwood's first podcast. You're very welcome, Tine. Tine is the Innovations Coordinator for Les Mills International, but she's also a fantastic group fitness instructor for the Westwood clubs. You did work for the Westwood clubs in a larger capacity as class coordinator in Clontarf for many years, alongside me, some great years.
Yeah.
And you're here today to have a chat about general group fitness. The misconceptions around it, the benefits of it, the intimidation that can sometimes come with it as well. My experience is that when you walk into a gym, you automatically think people know what they're going to do, but they don't, and they need direction. Let's unpack that today. First things first, welcome to the podcast. Tell me about fitness with you. Like, when was your first moment where you said, yeah, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Well, firstly, I was a really clumsy child. So going from what I was to what I do now is like a big leap. And if you were to speak to my mom, she's incredibly proud because she was like, how are you here? And to me, I guess my sister was the one who first dragged me in to a gym. And we just, from there, because I had somebody to train with, to hold me accountable, that was a key thing for me that got me into just actually going to the gym, because it could be really scary. And then to where I am now, obviously it's been a few years between then and now. I've just worked incredibly hard. I'm super interested in this industry in general because I call us prehab. We kind of look after people before we get not sick, but before we actually need a doctor. So we can kind of help prevent both physical disease, mental disease, and it's also an ever-evolving industry. So everything we know about the body is generally a theory and research, but there's research that might say one thing, research that might say something totally different. So it's a super interesting space to be in because it speaks to so many levels of humanity.
Yeah, and that is interesting because it's so conflicted, especially with social media. One person will say one thing, another person will say the opposite. Both will have research to back it up. So it's so contentious, I would say, sometimes. But just touching back on your childhood, you were a clumsy child. Tell me about that. What's that?
I don't know. I'm Danish. We wore clogs. My mom said I would always fall over. I don't know. So she says, when she comes and does my yoga class, my body balance class, she's like, wow, you can stand on one leg. So she's so proud because she was like, did not see this in my child.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that your first experience of fitness was with your sister.
Yeah.
Which is nice, know. Normally, I have 5 brothers and sisters, and our fitness interaction was killing each other.
Okay. Well, that's kind of
physically.
Physical.
I wish we had a gym to kind of let some of that steam off, Yeah. Just around group fitness, like in the Westwood clubs, we have 6 clubs. Some of them are large, some of them are small. They're not easy places to walk into if you're new to fitness, if you have no previous experience, if you kind of feel a little bit self-conscious. Let's get into the mind of that person. Where should they start if group fitness is probably the access point that they're looking to start the fitness journey?
The key thing for me has always been, if you want to be consistent with something and start something, you need to have to find something that you enjoy doing. So channel out some of the noise. We all are like, the trends are the trends, try this. And if that's what brings you into the space of where you want to work out, we'll go with that. Because some people will tell you have to do this, this, and this to achieve this goal. But actually, that's a short-term thing for me. But if I'm in this for life, like this is a lifestyle, and if that's what you're looking for, a lifestyle, then breaking that barrier of maybe you go with the trend first and then you find your own flow. Or maybe you have a friend that wants to go to the gym and that's also how you get there. Maybe something has come recommended to you, because I know that I work in probably the biggest Westwood club, Clontarf mainly, and it is super huge. There are a lot of corridors, there are a lot of studios, a lot of space, and it can be really scary to walk into. I was a member there first, and I remember that.
Yeah, you can get lost.
You can
I
get
found
lost.
staff walking the corridors trying to figure out where to go.
New people, where have they gone?
Yeah. That's it, exactly. So there's a social aspect of it, I suppose. There's a groupness. It's in the name, group fitness, but I suppose if you find someone else to go to the gym with and they're new, I think group fitness is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But say from the class offerings that Westwood have, and someone's looking into gaining some strength, shaping up their body a little bit, getting a bit more cardiovascularly fit, what classes would you recommend for someone who's new?
Someone who's new, like, we can't escape it. Resistance training is, such a huge factor for body health and also for mental health. So if that is toning up or actually just sometimes it can build confidence, I would go in a group fitness environment. I'd do something like strength development, where you learn to lift really well to different tempos, or I go in and do something like body pump, where you have lots of repetitions, and there's as you said, Luke, there's always an instructor there to guide you. And I think maybe also a key thing is group fitness versus the gym floor. Is the gym floor I have to move around to find equipment, whereas once I'm in a studio, I generally am in the same spot. And it's kind of my safe space then, and we have members that stand in the same spot for years and years and years, because it's kind of how we claim our space.
And they're comfortable.
That's where you're comfortable.
There.
You have your stuff there, you're ready to go. So if it's resistance training, those are two really great ones. And you'll get to, even if you're training on your own, you'll get to meet a huge amount of people, that'll help set you up.
Yeah.
People from all walks of life, and you'll make new friends.
And what role does the instructor play in welcoming new people into the club, you think?
Like, it's a huge touch point, because at the end of the day, I could be walking in super stressed, or maybe I have seen nobody today, or maybe I've been online on my laptop all day. And this can be one of the first human connection points that you'll have in the day. And I think that is so important, because as an instructor, we can make or break somebody's day by just that first interaction. And we can either make the fear bigger, or we can make the fear much less by how we actually have our first interaction.
Yeah. And I often feel sometimes the new people will feel intimidated by the instructors or the personal trainers, and feel like, that the personal trainers don't have any time for them, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And we always have tried over the years to develop the instructors to be welcoming, to engage, to put their hand up if you're new, and I'll come down and speak with you, just to kind of make that access point a lot easier. But as you said, in Clontarf, it's just that big long corridor is the hardest part. Once you walk that corridor, things become a little bit easier.
Even walking up the stairs today to get to this gravity studio in Sandyround, I'm like, wow, actually, there's just, we can put lots of barriers in our way to actually just walk in the door. And sometimes the steps you take through the door are the hardest steps that you'll ever take. Yeah. Once you're in the door, it's actually, it's
a bit easier.
Yeah, it's not as bad as we think, because we make up all these scenarios of, they're going to judge me, they're going to turn around, everybody's going to turn around and stare at me. But we're all quite engrossed in ourselves and then in what's actually happening in the class, right? So one thing I could take that fear away is that when you walk into a group training space, a group fitness space, generally people are more focused on their own movement, because we're all there for different reasons, and for what's happening in the class, as in what is the instructor asking us to do. I'm not so focused on what everybody else around me is doing.
No, and once that music starts, I think, as you said, it dissipates. And I think we're all susceptible to the worst fear type of thinking. It's like, I'm going to walk in, everybody's going to look at me. They're going to think I'm overweight. They're going to think I'm ugly. They're going to think I stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah. It's like, but then once you get there, it's like, oh, none of this is true. No. Yeah, it's the anticipation. We're our own worst enemies sometimes. Come here, tell me about your dogs.
My dogs?
Yeah.
So my dogs reflect my personality.
Yeah.
I used to have a Labrador, super chill. He passed away, and now I've got Chihuahuas and a sausage dog. So fierce, stubborn, very noisy. Yeah. Extroverts.
How many have you got? 3?
3 now, yeah.
And they're all micro-sized.
They're all, 2, yeah. Well, the sausage thinks he's a rhinoceros, but yeah.
He has small man syndrome.
He's like a bowling ball. Yeah. And the other 2 Chihuahuas are like the pins. So he kind of runs at them and then he shoots them out of the way.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. And you are from Denmark. You've been living in Ireland how long?
20 years plus.
And you grew up in Kuwait.
Kuwait, yeah.
What was that like?
It was warm. It was beachy.
Yeah.
That's why I love the beach. I love the sea. Like Kuwait, we literally could see the sea every day. It was a different culture, so I found it really interesting growing up in a Muslim culture, because you learn about different people, ethnicities. I went to an English school, but there was lots of different cultures there, and lots of different nationalities. So, like for me, like I can still sing the Kuwaiti national anthem, because we had Arabic in school, and I just, it's just a different experience, and I'm really grateful to have that.
Good, good. Yeah, Kuwait sounds interesting just because it's so off track to Irish culture. I just can't put myself there. But the beaches and the hot weather, I am all up for that. Yeah. But you've traded that now for Irish weather. So Donabate is your closest beach, is it?
That is my closest beach.
Yeah.
I want to be a beach bum. At some stage when I don't work,
yeah.
I think in my mind,
when
I
will
say
that
I want
happen?
to be
That you don't work? I don't think
never.
Win the lottery.
Carry me out of here.
Yeah. Talk about you. You said you were a member in Westwood before you were a group fitness instructor. Tell me about the journey that got you from being a member to actually being an instructor.
Well, one of the people that was my biggest inspo is still here and still teaches in the club, and I admire her tenacity, her work ethic, Rachel Bolton.
Shout out to Rachel Bolton.
Yeah, shout out, because literally she was the one person whose class I would go to and I would not want to miss. And I have to say, I was one of those members that if it wasn't her, it would nearly ruin my day, because she just saw me, but she was also she's so passionate about what she does. And then I made that transition from front row diva, which was me. I was the person at the front row. And then I was like, I want to be on that. I want to do what Rachel does, because inspiring people to move. Like I never saw myself as a gym person, and she she molded me in a way that worked for me, so that I wanted to make that switch over. I think that's very, very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it just shows up the question that the role that the instructor has in motivating some people to even come to the gym. Like I train alone sometimes, and I have a training partner, and like I always train harder with my training partner.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I need him to train harder. Shout out to Des. But it's like that with instructors as well. Sometimes people feel unmotivated. And funny enough, I was having this conversation with my daughter earlier in the week. She was like, I want to go to the gym, but I don't feel like it. And I was like, you won't feel like it until you actually walk out the door with your gym bag, and then you'll start to feel like when you're going through the motions. I think when it comes back to a good instructor in a class, the hard part is getting out the door, but knowing that you're walking into a good experience with a great instructor that cares, that's going to deliver like passion and good instruction and commitment to make sure you get a great workout, just makes
it's a deal breaker.
All the difference. It is. You want to feel like you're wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And seen.
And
you belong to something where, and humans, we are pack animals. We like to be together. So if you feel like, you can either feel excluded or you can feel included. Excluded is a horrible feeling. You feel rejected. There's fear, anger, all of those things. Whereas when you feel included, there's all these warm, fuzzy feelings, and you want to come back. It's very, very motivational.
Yeah.
And we always say, what business are we in? We're in the business of motivation, because generally getting to the gym is hard work. How hard is it to pack your bag? Maybe the kids are home, or your big brother is doing something. From all walks of life, it's hard to get to the gym. We're the freaks because we work in it.
Yeah.
We love working out. But I'm always grateful that I teach classes, because I have to be somewhere at the same time, and I know that there are other people there, and that's a key motivator for me.
It's that common goal, common direction.
Yes.
Groupness, as we like to call it, the groupness. Yeah. And for someone standing on the outside that's never experienced that before, it might seem a little bit like, oh no, I don't want to be involved in that. But once you actually step into it, you figure out, these people aren't bloodsuckers, or they're not weirdos. They're just people like you that just want to feel a bit better about themselves, feel more secure in their own body, feel a bit fitter, a bit healthier. That all just drifts away then,
And you will get to meet people from all walks of life that you would never have met anywhere else. Like I've met so many different people that if you met them on the street, you wouldn't be, oh, hey, how are you? But actually in that group fitness space.
Yeah.
And if that's what you're looking for, that community feel, that's where group fitness is so powerful. But equally, if it's not your thing, you're more motivated working out, you love the music, and you work harder when there's people around you, you don't have to do the engagement thing either.
No.
So it kind of speaks to both, you want the community, it's there for you. If you don't want it, that's your choice as well. But you come in and you still have that feeling of working out to music, working out with other people. You don't have to do the interactions.
No, and that throws up another thing. I'd be one of those people that likes just sinking into the background, and I think in group fitness you can do that because everybody's moving the same way. Everybody has the same equipment. So there's a certain level of camouflage that you have in the class.
Yeah, true.
By nature. So it's also good for people who are just starting or feel intimidated. Once they get into the class and figure out they're going to be okay, they can just blend into the background and just enjoy.
We're not as scary as we look.
No, we're not. No, we're not scary at all.
I think that's also why the studios are darker, and there's some mirrors, but we don't never have a heap of mirrors in any of the studios. Just for that, again, it's not so much about that vibe. It's more about if you want to blend in, you can blend in. So there's not any of this expectations, because sometimes when you walk into some gyms, there's an expectation.
The bright studios with the wooden floors and the mirrors everywhere, and you feel exposed.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about your role in Les Mills, because you've been working for them for many years now. No wonder you're a brilliant group fitness instructor, but not only that, you're a qualified facilitator. You write content for training modules.
Yeah.
You also work on the innovations team. Tell me about your role in Les Mills.
So again, I like to wear many caps, and I do like a good cap, but I do some presenting. So I do some big stage stuff where we go out and sometimes there's 3,000 people and we all move together. So I get the opportunity to be on stage and to look out of this amazing sea of people, and we all just feel this energy come together. On a daily basis, I'm a learning and development designer for the innovations products that come out. So recently, we're just launching Ceremony now. We've launched Shapes. So all these new programs, I write the training content so that we can make great instructors that can teach these classes really well. And that content is what I write. At the same time, I sit and help roll the product out globally. So to all of the Les Mills markets. So working closely with what we call head trainers, which are the people that lead out the presenters. Yeah. So it's a really interesting role because, you get nitty gritty with the program, and you get to understand a lot of the behind the scenes things. So I'm blessed to kind of get to see that side of it, but I also get to front of house it. So I get to see it come to life when the trainings then start to roll out. And that's interesting because, like you said, you need to hone in on the class experience by teaching the classes like you do. Yeah. Putting into practice the training modules that you're creating, and then you zoom out to the helicopter view and you're thinking, okay, how can I get someone from A to B to B? I don't know anything about this program to be able to teach it effectively. And learning patterns, cognitive ability, physical ability. You have to think of all these things that go into learning syllabuses. So that sounds really interesting. Yeah. And it's super, do you know what? Some of the instructors in Westwood, they've done the training that I've written, and then I see them going from being scary, because if anybody thinks it's easy to step up in front of a group of people and teach, so just so you know, instructors also have fear. I still have a nervous wee before I go in and teach a class. Honestly, because we want to do our best and we want people to have a great experience. So stepping from doing to teaching is also a big leap.
Huge.
And then when you then see them come into that space of actually going, love this, I love talking to people, teaching people, to me that's so rewarding, because I nearly get to see product from inception all the way to
completion. Yeah. And it's the confidence growing in the instructor.
Unbelievable.
And with confidence comes a better class. It's like anything.
Competence,
a bit more confident, a bit more relaxed, you can start to play with it.
Yeah.
Like when I used to teach all the time, I used to have this reoccurring dream where I'd walk up on stage ready to teach a class and nothing would come out of my mouth and I didn't know any of my choreography.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And that's what plays in your mind before you go into classes as an instructor.
And that's also why, how much prep do we do behind the scenes to be able to teach these high quality classes? Like a lot of work goes on before we even step on stage to make sure that we're delivering. And everybody's learning, so people will have different abilities, as you said. So some people take longer to learn, some people need it delivered in a slightly different way, some people need more mentoring, and sometimes we just also need a little,
a little push.
A little push.
Yeah. And even the members, some members will listen to nothing that you say and just
No.
take in everything that you're doing because
Yeah.
they're visual learners. Some people need to hear the cues. So the instructors that we train in Westwood, they need to think of all this before they go into a class. So it's not just, I'm just going to go up and tell them what to do. You need to know when you're going to tell them, how you're going to tell them, the way that's going to be delivered. Are you role modeling the right technique? Are you saying the right things at the right time? Are you missing out on anybody? Are you making eye connection? Like, there's so much work that goes into a great experience.
It's like a multitasking.
Yeah.
And isn't so, and I, I do work for Les Mills, but that is one of my favorite things about Les Mills workouts is that the instructor does it physically. So they're not going to ask you to do 20 burpees randomly without them actually doing it themselves. So there is thought and research and structure behind the workouts, but also it's tried and tested because the instructor does it too. And sometimes people in front of you do it better than you do because that's part of the process.
That's part of it. You can't be the best at everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's and that's probably a larger conversation in the fitness industry at the moment. Everybody has to be the best at everything, and you're just not. Like, there's going to be people better communication skills, better personal trainers, better technique than you. But it's just about the experience that you give, and it's normally the personality that makes most of the difference.
Yourself.
Yeah, not the skills or the competencies. Just you said 20 burpees there, and like my anxiety started to go up, and you were like, research. I don't care how much research is in it. You're not getting me to do 20 burpees.
Oh, you
ever.
would. You say that now. Wait until later.
No, I hate that exercise.
See me later.
Come here. In Dublin, what do you like to do to unwind? What do you do to relax?
I am a beach bum, and I think I have this, like, when I saw, I don't know if everybody can see this wall, but when I saw the moss wall, I threw myself at it, because I am such a mad nature person, and for me, unwinding is getting out into big spaces, because when you give, and you give a lot when you teach, and a lot of it is expected sometimes, and also you put yourself up for judgment, so putting yourself back out into nature with my dogs, which is not supposed to be a stressless walk, but actually with the doggies, it's a stressful walk. But I like that. I love like sauna stuff, and I do like to travel, except for when I can't find my passport and don't get to travel.
Oh yes, we'll come to that in a second.
But those are my kind of my favorite.
Yeah. So you like to travel, as in you do a lot of traveling for Les Mills. I mean, your role is to travel and develop instructors, give training modules, have meetings with the organization itself about strategy and things like that. What is your favorite thing about working for Les Mills? What is the one thing that you just go, I just love it because of this?
I love the people that are there. I just feel like we all work towards a purpose, and the purpose is for a fitter planet. But the whole thing with Les Mills is it's not just fitness, it's wellness, but it's also the health of the planet. So all of these things like speak to everything that I appreciate, and I think we need more of in the world. And I know it sounds very airy-fairy, and but that is, I truly believe in that. And the people you get to work with have that same,
common goal. You found your people.
Exactly.
That
is exactly the thing. And then they're always trying new things, try and fail a lot of the times, and try and win. But I love that, put yourself out there to try something and wanting it to succeed. But if it doesn't succeed, we do a different direction. So it feels like quite innovative in that space, and really creative.
It seems like it's never stagnant or staying still. There's always moving cogs or progress, which is important.
100%.
Which is really important. When you think back to progress, especially with fitness, people often get stuck so many times because they're not changing or innovating, or they're just doing the same exercise over and over and over again. Talk to me briefly before we finish about Les Mills ceremony. This is something that's going to be launched across all 6 Westwood clubs, hopefully all 6 by September. That's the low resolution date that we have. But what is ceremony?
So ceremony is circuits. It's a circuit class. But what Les Mills have done is they put manners on circuits, but what they've actually done, they've put a structure so that when you walk in to do a ceremony class, it's circuits, there's different stations, but it's researched. The way that the exercises and the timings are structured ensure a workout output. So what we're always looking for is that safe and effective workout. So I'm not going to ask you to do 2 million burpees in a class and go, come on, everybody, we can do this. I'm going to set this up as a really smart workout. It also obviously leans in towards high rocks, which is like the fastest growing fitness trend that we've got. So if you go in and do ceremony, you're prepping yourself. It's part of, you can be part of your high rocks prep. So if that's where you're going, then actually, attending these classes will help. And again, there'll be a coach on hand to help you move really well. The music. So Les Mills is one of the biggest music producers. They have their own music studio, which I was lucky enough to see when I was in Auckland last year. Yeah, it's epic. But what we also do is we map the music to match the workout, which means that in ceremony, for example, and maybe you'll get to experience this when you come into a class, is that we kind of start like low and grungy, and then when the going gets really tough towards the tail end of the workout, the music becomes all playful and happy, and what it does is it boosts the mood.
Yeah,
when you need it most. You're like, oh no, I don't think I can do this anymore, because it's hard. I won't lie, it's a hard class. But again, it's about community and feeling it, and being in the music, being in the workout together. And I've worked on this for 4 years now. I was in Berlin last year where we did this mad show in a really old, it's called Kraftwerk. It's an old bunker, which is now a massive rave studio. So we did like a huge thing, and I saw it come to life, and I was like, man, bottle this and bring it around.
So there's a certain level of accomplishment with Tina coming into Westwood, I would say.
You know what? It's incredible. And if anybody can do ceremony the way it should be done, it's Westwood.
We will do it. Yeah. Great. Look, I want to finish this podcast with a quick fire round.
Okay.
Do you mind?
Phew.
Yeah. So
pressure.
What I want you to do is just answer very quickly. Don't think about it. Don't think about what
I'm a Libra.
Other people might want to see. I'm a Sagittarius.
Are you ready to be here for about 20 minutes?
Okay. Here we go, all right? Favorite exercise?
Deadlift.
Least favorite exercise?
Wall ball.
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Morning workout or evening workout?
Evening.
What's your favorite song right now? Don't think.
A Les Mills song. It's like all that's on in
Anything
my car
Les
is
Mills.
literally Les Mills. It's so sad.
What's your go-to healthy snack?
What do I like? Oh, I don't know. Have you heard about Eggy's balls? Shout out to Eggy. So she makes these, and there's no process. There's not even protein in them, but she makes them. They're handmade, and she's only just started her business. But that's at the moment.
Eggy ball.
Eggy's ball. Her name is Egestra, but so she's coined them Eggy's balls.
Eggy's balls.
They are next level delicious. Do you know what? I should have brought you some. I just got a fresh batch delivered.
The next time you come on, you better. What's your cheat meal? I hate saying cheat meal. What's the meal that you just go, I'm gonna eat what I want here? Do you know what? I don't do cheat meals because I eat what I want when I want, and it's taken me years to get into that headspace. So if I want something, now I don't eat meat, but I always say to myself, if I want to eat it, I can eat it, but I don't eat it because that's it.
When you give yourself the freedom.
Podcast topic in itself.
I know, but
it?
When you give yourself the freedom to go, hey, you want the chips? Eat the chips. Then you don't eat the chips.
Yes.
Because you don't. You kind of go, well, I don't really want them
because you're not restricted.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of workout advice you ever received?
Movement is medicine.
Movement is medicine.
And that is
very
my
good.
tag.
Yeah. And one piece of workout gear you can't live without?
I use they're called Supernovas for my cardio classes or for body attack, and I don't think I could jump.
The insoles?
No, they're Adidas shoes, but I don't think I could jump without them because they're like, when you're doing a lot of burpees, squats and lunges.
I get you. And come here, if you were not a group fitness instructor, what would you be?
I'd either be an artist or I would write a book.
What's your favorite thing about working in Westwood?
I was going to say the people again. It is the people, but it is also that Westwood is always striving. They're a little bit crazy because we're always striving to do something newer, bigger, bolder, better. And I love it. It's like being in the whirlwind of craziness.
What's your personal fitness goal for next year or this year?
For this year, I'm going to put it out there now. And if I fail, I fail. But I've applied to be part of the filming for Body Balance in Amsterdam, which is in October. And globally, there's a heap of people that make that application.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously hoping to be successful for that, because it means that I will be recorded.
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
Advice for someone just starting their fitness journey in one sentence.
It's not as scary as you think.
And finish this sentence. The best part about my job is
the people.
Nice. Great. Tina, thanks so much for coming on to the
welcome.
first podcast.
Thanks for having me.
From the Westwood Clubs.
I know.
Really enjoyed your talk. Anybody who's looking to see Tina, she is teaching some classes in Clontarf Club out Westwood Clontarf. Sometimes you bounce around to other clubs like Leopardstown.
I love kind of visiting different clubs. I haven't been in Sandymount in ages, so yeah.
What's the best way someone can connect with you on social media?
Social media, my main go-to is Instagram, and my handle is movement_is_medicine. And I'm also on TikTok, where it's just Tina B, Tineb.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for having me.